When you look at a symphony, there are two main sources of revenue. There's earned income from the ticket side and then contributed revenue. And the largest portion of contributed revenue is from the annual fund. It's called the annual fund because it's a campaign that we do annually. It runs for 12 months. We start in June with the new fiscal year, it runs through May, we conclude it. Then in June we start all over again, so it's done on an annual basis. The annual fund is an unrestricted fund. It means that all money contributed goes into one big pool, and that pool is used to pay the light bill, salaries, anything that we need at the orchestra. A restricted fund, people give money and it's used for a specific purpose and that purpose only. They give money to endowment campaigns or specifically restricted campaigns, which we don't really do too often. And the funds are have a very specific thing that they have to be used for. In an annual fund unrestricted, we can use them for anything that we need for symphony expenses. We do have a restricted campaign going on right now called Focus on the Music. After Tropical Storm Allison, our library was destroyed, and we have to restore all the pieces that we've lost, the scores. So we list all the scores available, their cost, and people say, I want to buy Mozart's something for this amount of money. It comes in and we use it for that specific purpose only. It's a special separate side campaign. But most everything we do is for unrestricted funds. Unfortunately, earned revenue covers much less than half of the annual budget to run a symphony. I would say anywhere from 35 to 40% is from earned revenue. The annual fund right now does anywhere between 40 and 45% of the budget. And then we also have earnings from the endowment. The size of our endowment is about $54 million, and we need it to be over $100 million. So we have a $75 million campaign going on to raise the endowment, and we're doing that concurrently with the annual fund. So at any given time, we're soliciting many people, corporations and foundations for a variety of things. Well, in the annual fund, we have separate divisions. We have an individual division, a corporate division, and a foundation division. Now, the individuals we handle based on giving amount. I oversee all three divisions, and we have staff who handle each. Individual can be done, especially at the lower levels, with direct mail. We do telefunding follow-up. We do in-hall campaigns. We're launching email and website initiatives now to try and stay current. Corporate giving is more a one-to-one. It's a smaller pool to work with, and they do primarily sponsorships. And foundations, we have a nice group of foundations. In fact, Houston is a very strong foundation community, and we get a good amount of money, and that's also done on a one-on-one basis. In corporate and foundation, you might have a total of 100 donors between each. In individual, we have over 5,000. So we have to handle some things on a mass appeal basis. We can't do everything on a one-to-one and give the personal attention. So we do large-scale mailings and large-scale things. Now, for upper-level donors, we handle in the same way, where we give them personal attention. We have volunteers, board members, and other volunteers in the community who love the symphony who help us. Giving to the symphony on an individual side is a very personal thing. And having a friend or a peer ask for the money makes it much easier. People are more responsive to their friends or peers than a professional person coming out and saying, would you support the symphony? It's done in a similar way. We have volunteers as well, primarily business people, businessmen and women from the board. And they set up meetings for us and themselves, and we go and we visit the corporations. We talk to them. There are different motivations even for corporations to give. Some have foundations set up and they want to support children and education activities, which we have a tremendous amount of that we do, a great variety. Others are looking for marketing opportunities, such as the same with sporting events. They want to put their name on something, and we have many concerts and series, and we go and we meet. We find out what their motivations, what their goals are, and then create a proposal specific to them. Some want to do entertaining. Law firms really like to entertain clients and prospective employees, prospective lawyers. They like to have events in the hall, have special tickets. So it's a matter of finding out what their motivations and goals are, and then we work to help them reach them. In a corporate campaign, we're developing, I wouldn't call it a brochure, we're calling it a view book right now. It's a leave behind piece, and it's not a very texty piece. We don't want lots of writing. It has some photos and some bullet points about why a company would want to participate with the symphony. That we have an educated audience, we have a high income audience, reasons that they might want to have connection to our people. So we have a booklet like that. We have proposals we do specifically for corporations. On individuals, we don't have brochures. We have found that it's not effective. Research has shown that they don't respond to that. They don't want us spending the money. They know we're a nonprofit and they don't want us putting extra money into things like that. So it all depends on who your target is. If we're asking someone for an endowment gift, we absolutely have a nice package. We could have a brochure, a slick piece, possibly a CD, things like that. People skills are incredibly important. As we say, it's not just fundraising, it's friend raising. We're creating relationships, and creating the relationship and the connection, you're able to sustain it and continue it each year as the annual fund we need to do each year. We're not trying to secure just one-time gifts. So you really have to have very strong interpersonal skills. You have to relate, not only work well with your colleagues in a very fast-paced environment, you have to be able to relate with the volunteers, board members, people who have important positions, presidents of companies, have skills with being able to relate with them, as well as the prospective donors. So I think interpersonal skills are very important. As well, something that's come up a lot is now being a multitasker. You have to be able to manage several things at one time. The annual fund this year is going to need to raise about $12 million. We're looking to raise about $20 million on top of that for the endowment. We have individual, corporate, foundation. We also have an events department. Within each division, we have several campaigns going on as well. So you have to be able to keep all the balls in the air at the same time and manage the volunteers, keep them going in the right direction so things are moving. So it's a lot. You have to be able to work in a fast-paced environment and not be afraid. You have to be able to deal with lots of subjects at different times. I, looking back, wish I had taken some accounting classes. I didn't take any, and I wish that I had now. But you know, I really don't think there's anything that can truly prepare you unless you go and do the work. Learning in the arts is a tremendous thing, but I would recommend that you have some kind of connection or passion for the art form you're joining. I'm not a great musician, but I've always loved the music. I was lucky that I had parents and grandparents who would take me to the symphony and the opera and the ballet since I was old enough to walk. So it's something I felt connected with. Even though I can't do it, it's something I believed in. I think the passion is the most important thing because it'll sustain you. There will be difficult times, and you need that to keep you going. There has to be motivation from within because you're not always going to get it externally. What I look for is someone who is articulate, who has a strong personality. They don't necessarily have to have fundraising experience. It's preferable, but it's not essential. If they're competent or more than competent at dealing with people, can express themselves well, and have strong organizational skills, you can teach the fundraising part. You want someone who you think will enjoy it enough and see the challenge and really take hold than someone that you know has been a successful fundraiser, someone else. In the arts, it's a little bit different because you do have to work such long hours, and it's a different kind of fundraising because we're fundraising for our existence. Other types of fundraising, universities, hospitals, it's important what they're doing, but if they don't reach their goals or if something happens, such as a hurricane, people divert money, they will still exist. Symphony orchestras and the arts in general have to fundraise to exist, to make payroll every other week, to pay the bills, to keep things going. I think doing annual fund work is just a very rewarding thing. As I was saying earlier off camera, that I don't know how many more Mays I have in me. May is the last month of our fiscal year, so we're always scrambling to reach our goals, and it's very stressful. But all I have to do is come to a concert, sit down, hear the music. I go to a children's concert, and it's like, that's why I work so hard. It's nice to know that you're a part of the nuts and bolts. When I'm sitting in the hall listening to a concert, I know that I did and my staff had a fundamental part in making that happen. that it wouldn't be happening without us. And that's a really great feeling.